All right, hello and welcome, Essex County College family. You are watching SLAO Essex on Twitch. Thanks for joining us. It is Wednesday, November 24th, the day before Thanksgiving, and we thought it would be interesting, instead of having some meat fest over here, learning how to cook and deep fry all your turkeys and all that good stuff, as to explore a different avenue this time of year. So we have with us today Mr. Fernando Sosa. He is the president of the Plant-Based Prevengers, a new club at Essex County College. It is a, vegetarian-based club, the complete antithesis to Thanksgiving. And what better way to kick off the holidays than with Fernando himself? So, all right, please welcome our special guest for today, Mr. Fernando Sosa. Fernando, how are you today?
Oh, the magic question you asked, there's only one, not several. I'm plant-based, so I only eat vegetables. I can overcome any issue that's medical. Might as well say that I'm feeling incredible. About to make an oatmeal breakfast that's edible. Thank you for asking me. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Awesome.
Well, the esteemed College Steve Rogers at your service. As I said, I'm about to make an oatmeal. Oatmeal is like a staple in my daily consumption of things that Mother Earth has blessed me with. But for plant-based philosophy, which is the philosophy that I'm trying to spread across the universe, esteemed College Steve Rogers, it's my job to fight against ignorance. Like Joe said, perfect time right before Thanksgiving. I really appreciate this opportunity to share my breakfast with all of you. About to make oatmeal for a noble cause. Then your tests, exams, and homework will have no flaws. This is how it works. Pumpkin, flax, and chia is like the sign of the cross. So let me get straight into it. Can't go wrong. It's a good breakfast. It keeps your blood flowing. It has many nutrients, but make no mistake, I put all types of stuff in it. Pumpkin, flax, and chia. I started off like this, just 1 cup of oatmeal, and then pumpkin, flax, and chia. Just toss right in flax and chia, and there it is. Flax and chia has plenty of protein. That's fact. Omega-3s and stuff like that you can't get from too many other foods. I'll address the carnivorous mythology, as I call it. I'll address it immediately, that there's no protein in plants. This is carnivorous mythology. It's just, there's different proteins in plants. Where do you think animals get their protein from? We eat animals, and where do they get their protein from? Plants. So it might not be as high content of protein as a steak does. It might not be as packed with carcinogens and toxins and saturated fats and cholesterol as meat does, but it's packed with nutrients and minerals and fibers and all this other good stuff that you get from eating plants. So the omega-3s and things like that, the protein that flax and chia has, is just an example. A lot of plants have protein that come in with different amino acids, and they combine with different amino acids that come from other foods that are often paired together. So the oatmeal probably has amino acids in it that's pairing with the flax and chia. Of course, the pumpkin seed has zinc in it. So I might as well jump straight to pillar number 6, which is self-education. These things that I'm speaking of, it's not because I just heard somebody say it, or it's because I question everything around me. It's because my plant-based journey started off when I was riding a horse in Colombia. That's where my ancestry is from. And the horse stopped to the side of the road and started eating some grass. and I said, this horse is so strong, he's carrying me on his back like a feather. And I'm just questioning everything. So that's when I went home, came back, quarantine time. This was in March 2020. I had plenty of time to do self-education. This is why we're all in school. There's things that they're not going to teach us in school that I feel like we still have to learn, especially when it comes to diet. So there you go, self-education. That's pillar number 6. But let me get back to number 2, which is diet and exercise. I feel like oatmeal gives you blood flow, it makes you ready, it keeps you on point. But what's more important is that you feel energized. You don't feel like a slouch afterwards. And after all your Thanksgivings, for sure, you're going to feel like a slouch and you're going to want to go straight to bed. And it's just what it is, Vegan Christ forgives you, But it's okay. Cheat days is part of the process. Cheat days is definitely a part of it. It's been a long journey for me, like a year and a half. And I've come to the point where I eat cereal with water. That's the kind of progress that I've made. You know what I mean? My taste buds have adjusted. So exercise every single day. Some sort of exercise is very necessary to keep that blood flowing. Of course, I got the almonds, I got cranberries, I got raisins, I got dates in here. So I make sure I satisfy my taste buds. As I said, cheat days is part of the process, but there's ways to make plant-based food so delicious that there's no need for an extreme amount of oil, extreme amount of salt, or extreme amount of butter, or cheese. Cheese is like the devil's food, I say. Cheese is not recognizable I see a piece of pizza, I'm like, that's not food to me. Unfortunately, I grew up on the SAD as well. The SAD stands for the Standard American Diet. I grew up on that too. I used to indulge in cheese too, and it's okay. Not anymore. I recognize that it's not even food to me. Cheese has an addictive quality to it called casein. Is a protein that's in cheese, and it turns into casomorphine when it's digested in the body. And casomorphine mimics, as you could tell by the name, it mimics a drug. It mimics heroin. It acts in the same way that heroin does to your brain receptors. So that's how cheese works. That's why it's so addictive. That's why it feels so good when you have your cheese, or ice cream, or dairy products, things of that nature. But make no
love
mistake.
Cheese.
Yeah, what can you do? I mean, I did too. I got coconut milk on me, of course. So this non-dairy milk is the new surge. This is a fact. Oat milk, almond milk, coconut milk. But they got milk out of everything. I'm a barista. I make coffee all day. So I'm familiar with all the milks: pistachio, macadamia, cashew milk. It's crazy, these things exist, and they're quite expensive, but I got this for $1 at Dunkin' Donuts. They get, yeah. So that brings me to minimalism, because make no mistake, pillar number 4, or maybe it's number 5. Pillar number 5 of my plant-based philosophy is minimalism. Not going out every single night to eat at these fancy restaurants. They don't have any vegan options, and if they do, they're gonna be super expensive and just out the ballpark, and probably not even that good for you anyway. But plant-based whole foods is what I stick to. Just go to the grocery store, buy some plant-based whole foods, make it yourself. You take the time. It doesn't take that long. These things are simple. My breakfast every morning is the oatmeal. You can't go wrong. It's delicious. And sandwiches I do potatoes in the microwave, I do rice, I do soups. A soup is easy. I just throw it together. It might take a little practice. Like I grew up on soup, so I kind of know how it goes. Just start with the veggies and then the water and the proportions. Yeah, I get it. You take some time to adjust, but it's much better than going out every single night. Minimalism is very important to me. It just basically means getting through the day, finding ways to not spend money, to make do with what you have. So I'll just go back to pillar number 3, loving yourself. So diet, exercise, loving yourself, and loving the things around you. Because if you don't love yourself, you can't love the person next to you, or the animal next to you, or the plant next to you, or the earth, or just the community, or anything at all. So This is why, I wouldn't put a ramen noodles inside of myself. If you ever read the back of one of those things, it's like, why am I putting these phenylethamines and nitroglycerines and phosphates and this and that inside of my body? I just don't, I wouldn't do that. I read the ramen thing, I'm like, I love myself. I don't want to do this to myself. I don't know what this is, but I know what an almond is. I do know what a date is. Oh, and it tastes so good. So I'm loving myself.
All right, so far, what have you got in here so far?
Oh, let me just recap. Of course, I started off with like a cup of oatmeal, rolled oats. You could use the quick oats, which is the same thing. It's just chopped into pieces. I use the whole ones, the big oats, and then I got the pumpkin, flax, and chia. It's like the holy trinity to me. Pumpkin seeds are good for your immune system. They have zinc. Flax seeds, chia seeds have much protein and omega-3s and omega-6 and things of that nature. I might not sound the most educated, but I do my own research and it makes me feel good. That's the important part. These things, almonds I got in there, cranberries, raisins, and of course, the oats take like about an hour to soak. I do it cold because it's more easy. It's easier to me. You could always cook your oatmeal. You could always cook it in water or milk, non-dairy milk, of course. But I just soak mine in the fridge cold, and that's how I have it because it's more convenient. I gotta go to school, I work, I got things to do, clubs to participate in. I'm a dancer and a stepper too. Oh my goodness! So what can I do? I just go straight to it. I just get to the point. It tastes delicious. Like some people are like, how could you do oatmeal cold? I need to cook. I'm not picky like that. So I got the coconut milk in there. Of course, I love myself. So I gotta put some honey in there, you know what I'm saying?
That was a pretty good amount of honey, I like that.
Yeah. Cinnamon for the taste as well, how could you not? Cinnamon's good for you, much antioxidants and things of that nature. Yeah, I'm a barista, like I said, I make coffee all day, so I'm familiar with coffee is good, it's got the antioxidants. Matcha is just like as caffeinated as coffee without the crash, and it's good for your bones and has antioxidants and things like that. Matcha is actually, if you're not familiar with matcha, it's like pure green tea in the powder version. They take the youngest leaves off of the tea tree, of the tea leaves, the youngest ones, the greenest ones, and mush them into powder. And it's a ceremonial Japanese drink. I chug the shit, and I chug it all day, matcha all day. So yeah, that's what's my daily breakfast right there. You can't go wrong. Of course, I gotta go to the final pillars of plant-based philosophy. Of course, mental health is so important to me. Like I said, this will get your blood flowing, ready to go run 10 miles, but it also keeps you on point. Your tests and exams will have no flaws. But also at the same time, I feel like taking care of your mental health is important. For me, therapy hasn't worked for me, like counseling and therapy. That's not my experience. I've never had good experience with it, but I take care of myself in other ways. Like I burn sage sometimes, I podcast, I express myself. These are all things that I feel like are so important to if you're gonna be going in a good direction in your life, the mental health part. So it just all falls under plant-based philosophy. Eating good, putting something in your body that's good for yourself, good for your health, and good for the planet and all other species. But
now I have a couple of questions for you, sir.
Here's some questions for you. You are very, very knowledgeable on this stuff. You love it. You have a serious passion for it. My two-part question is when and why? When did you adopt this lifestyle and why? So when in your life did you start doing this, and what was the big reason? Was there an event that happened in your life, or was it just some epiphany that you had one day and you said, I'm going to make this change? And whatever the case may be, tell us your story.
As far as going back to what I put in my body, I've had a problem with that since I was 13. Since I was 13 years old, I've always had this thing. I overeat at nighttime, especially because during the day it's like I'm busy, running here to there. I grew up playing soccer. I was always doing good in school, doing all my homework and stuff. Part of like the top classes and stuff. I grew up in South Jersey, Egg Harbor Township, suburb and stuff. But the thing was, I remember going to Colombia and when I was around 13 to visit my family for the first time and get to know them and stuff. And my mom has 12 brothers and 1 sister, and my dad's like similarly like 6 sisters, 2 brothers. So on my mom's side, when I was hanging with the uncles, they would always make fun of how little I was eating because I grew up playing soccer. I grew up like eating very healthy. My mom would make the best soups. She wouldn't ever force me to eat the steak. I would never want the steak, you know. And then after that, it was like a turning point. I went to my uncles were always making fun of me like, oh, es que no come nada ese niño. He's not eating anything. And they would say this out loud to me, like teasing me, but as a very influenced kid, like how do you say it? I was a very well, I was a kid, so I was just listening to. I was very easily influenced as a kid, you know. Obviously, so I was 13.
You were impressionable.
That's the word. Thank you. I was super impressionable, so I'm just like, what are they talking about? So I started like showing. I would eat like huge breakfast because I always liked breakfast food. So I would eat the arepa with tons of butter on it and cheese, and the pan de quesos, that's little cheese puffs and things
baby.
like that. I would go crazy in the morning, and I'd be so full that I'd just be sitting there like stuffed. And then I would get the compliments like, "Wow, he really ate." And it's like I felt good, but I didn't. I felt okay mentally because they were like, okay, they accept me, but I couldn't get up from the floor. I'm lying against the floor like a drunk. Like I don't know. Like and all my uncles are drunks, ironically. So it's just. That's how it started out, and so since then, like I've always been struggling with that. And when the turning point was in Colombia, I was riding the horse, and that's what made me question. I always grew up questioning everything, so it was a time in my life where I was just free. I was on vacation, first time traveling by myself, and my mind was expanding, and I was just like, okay, I have to figure this out. Why is it that I was raised thinking that milk makes your bones strong? Why was I raised thinking that to be a strong animal on this planet, which I am an animal, that I have to eat meat? Why? Why am I conditioned to think these things? That cheese belongs in a sandwich? Why am I conditioned to think that? You know, so
because that's what people tell us to. Since we're born, they give us all these old wives' tales and these myths and everything like that. So here's my question for you then.
So there's so many of these myths that go around in old wives' tales and whatnot. That's how people are misinformed, you know, as children with this stuff. So my question to you is a big myth, a big misinformation that folks have is how can you just be on a plant-only diet? There's no protein. You need meat to have protein. What do you say to people that come back at you with, oh, if you eat only plants, you're not going to get any protein in your diet?
Mythology is, as I said, that's carnivorous mythology. I say it in a funny way because just to grab people's attention, like this is really just like, where did it come from? Because animals get their protein from plants, and if we eat animals, logically it makes sense that like, okay, we could just go straight to the source. Make no mistake, our ancestors, if you believe in the evolutionary theory, our ancestors evolved from primates, so they were plant-based kids. Like they, you know, have the occasional whatever insect or whatever, but they're mostly plant-based, and so it's in our DNA to have this primarily plant-based diet. Of course, humans evolved to be able to consume to hunt and gather. Of course, I acknowledge that. I understand that. You know, I'm not. No one's gonna die if they have a piece of meat. It's in our DNA to be able to consume and digest such things, but especially for me, everyone's different. Everyone has a different idea of what being healthy is. I feel like plant-based philosophy is just like straight to the point. You know, just eat plants. Plants have the protein. You know, it's also a lifestyle. It's also a mentality for me. But back to what you're saying, it's just the plants have protein. It's just straight like that. It's just different forms. I learn more every day as I go through life, and I study and I self-educate, of course. But the last thing I read was in the Plant-Based Bible, as I call it. It's plant-based nutrition. I forget what the author is, but it's for yourself, for your health, for the planet. That's what the title is, I believe. And so I was reading that about the flax seeds and chia seeds, for example. They have certain types of amino acids, and a lot of plant-based foods complement each other. Like if you have your potatoes with your broccoli, they might have different types of protein that when you digest them, it comes together, and it's been like conditioned in us to think you just need the obscene amount of protein per day if you want to get big and strong, especially towards young men. You know, I grew up on the standard American diet. I also grew up taking that stupid whey protein powder. I was tricked into thinking that I need an unbelievable amount of protein, that I need to take this artificial substance that was man-made, that's not from planet Earth. It's just I don't know. Looking back, it's like, why did I do that? But what can you do? I'm part of this kind. I'm an American as apple pie. So that's just how it is. You have to self-educate.
What is there any specific resources?
that you would suggest to students that are watching now that are being moved by a lot of or rocked by a lot of the things that you're saying but don't know where to begin? Where's a good starting place for them on the internet, maybe?
I mean, watch a documentary, any documentary now, but I would say start with Game Changers on Netflix. If Netflix, most people have, I'm assuming, there's so much good stuff on Netflix as far as plant-based philosophy, plant-based nutrition. I watched a Netflix show called Heal, which is great. I could go on and on. Game Changers, but sticking to diet, Game Changers is the first one. It's about it's an English dude. He's like a military trained fighter, I believe, UFC fighter. No, not necessarily. He's just a military type of person. He trains the military. He trains the United States military and things like that. And he just decided to, I don't know what sparked him to do the documentary, but he just decided to become plant-based, and he exposes a lot of different things. Like, for example, a good scene that I will urge people to start at actually is the Conor McGregor scene. He's like eating several steaks like every day before a fight against Nate Diaz. I don't know what year this was, but it was like one of the biggest upsets in UFC fighting history. Apparently, I don't even watch that type of stuff. I don't like violence. You know what I'm saying? I feel like watching violence for entertainment, that's not my thing. But this is very interesting. It was the biggest upset, and Nate Diaz was a Puerto Rican kid. He's plant-based. He was like, eat your vegetables before the fight, telling the cameras. And then Conor McGregor's like, oh, I ate steaks for lunch, steaks for brunch, steaks for... I'm just like, what? This guy's crazy. So after the fight, and he lost by like a lot. He lost when it was like towards the end, and it was like it was just a battle of who can last longer, who could have more grit and had more energy. A battle of energy is what he said after. He's like, to be honest, I don't know how to do a stupid Irish accent, but to be honest, it was the steaks. I was eating so many steaks, and it came to bite me in the arse. So that's funny scenes. I mean, there's a lot of good documentaries out there. What the Health, obviously, that's by Joaquin Phoenix. He played the Joker, and he played he played the Joker. He's what he's most known for, I guess, these days. And he did a documentary, What the Health. That was a great one. That one's poking at like the connection that the food industry has with the medicine industry and the government and the media. They're all just tied into this thing together to get a whole generation of little kids eating cheese in their burgers and going to McDonald's and having Happy Meals and school lunches. Oh man, don't get me.
All right, so you're a man with lots of information. You're a man that has a cool and creative way of distributing this information and getting that stuff out there. And I say that because I'm 37. How old are you? 27. 10-year difference, right? In that 10-year difference, I've experienced many individuals, either vegetarian, vegan, whatever the case may be, but I've never met somebody who can present it in a manner that is attention grabbing and so creative and outlandish, because usually people want to lecture you and things like that when they try to talk to you about a plant-based diet or changing your diet. You got to change this, you got to change that. And I noticed that you're not necessarily like a hater. You're not necessarily going up to people, students on campus, saying, "Hey, you shouldn't eat that steak right there." You're more along the lines of like, "Hey, just in case you want, there's this really cool alternative over here for you that may be a lot healthier for you and may be a lot better for your mental health." Some people don't associate food and the things that we put into our body with mental health, but your mental health depends on your physical health too. I think it's a symbiotic relationship right between the rest of your body and your head. You need one or the other. You need both to live. You can't have only one being healthy. So, the wraps that you do, Tell us, we want to hear some more, of course, but tell us a little bit more about how that started. Did it come from boredom? Did it come from you trying to teach somebody about this? How did the creative ways that you talk about, a vegetarian-based life, how did that start for you?
I rap. I'm a barista, so I work at a coffee shop, make coffee all day. So the customers always that's how they do it. Especially in Hoboken. Hey, how are you? Hey, how are you?
How are you?
And it's always like the magic question you ask, cause I want to just like let them know how I feel. There's sometimes they ask me and they don't care. Well, I'm gonna tell you anyway. So then I'll just tell them. I started off just telling them how I feel. I had this customer one time who was super humble, like just off the charts, like very grateful because I take my job seriously. I was doing him a French press and I was describing like tasting notes and just telling him about it. Oh, you wait 5 minutes. Oh, I would love to put some milk in it. And he's just very impressed and it's just had a good experience, I guess. And so I saw him later, like after I left shift in the parking lot. He's, you're gonna do something great one day. What'd you say? You want to be a farmer? And I'm like, yeah, you're very humble. So the next time I seen him at the shop, he asked me, "How are you?" Straight, just like that, just kind of slow, and like he was wanting me to answer, and it was different from how other people asked, "How are you?" So he asked me, "How are you?" And I was like, "Well, my heart's beating, my lungs pumping, and my blood's flowing. How's it going?" And it just came out like that, and I'm just like, wow, that sounded pretty poetic. What if I just like started slapping everybody with how I feel? They slap me with the magic, I'll tell them how I feel. So I was like, hearts beating, mouth speaking, lungs pumping, legs jumping, blood's flowing, how's it going? And people love that. So I just like, whenever I'm on the bus to work, I just, instead of like, listening to music, or instead of just sitting there doing nothing, I just like, just coming up with raps in my head, and then I come to work and I just, bang them out.
Do you ever write any of the raps down, or is it all like stream of consciousness, just improv every time?
Improv, no, not improv. I come up with it like come up with 8 bars at a time. Like that's a verse. Yeah, the customers don't have time to listen to how I really feel. So it's like, especially there's a long line out the door. You know what I'm saying? So I just come up with like 8 bars at a time, and I just make it. But I end up rapping about like plant-based, because that's how I feel. Like no matter what, if the customer asks me how are you, I'm plant-based. That's how I feel. I'm plant-based, so I'm feeling incredible. Tell me what you want, I can make it digestible, and then things like that. So I'm plant-based. I'll never have an aneurysm. I might as well say that I'm happy to have risen. The magic question you ask, well, I have the answer. I'm plant-based and I'll never have cancer. But don't forget, I'm plant-based. The magic question you asked. Steve Collar, Steve Rogers, here at your service, the best barista on the earth's surface. Things like that.
You are
Unbelievable, man. That is such cool and inspiring stuff. I love rap music. I can't rap. I play music, so I play all the supporting instruments, bass guitar and drums and things like that. But to hear someone be able to be passionate about something not completely mainstream, and to have such, I'm gonna call them ammo, to have such ammo in your arsenal ready to go at any minute, to be able to improv, to be able to do that. I don't know where you work, but I can't imagine how many people come in there and they experience Fernando serving them coffee, perhaps bequeathing a small jewel of plant-based information or plant-based rap or something that would affect the rest of my day. So I know that whoever is experiencing you at your job, you're leaving a lasting impact on them. They're either remembering something you said, or they're remembering one of your raps, or they're telling a loved one about it, whatever the case may be. I know here personally at Essex, any students that see our giant club boards and see plant-based prevengers are like, wow, that is a lot to take in right there. It's like, it sounds like Avengers. I like Avengers. Okay, good. Plant-based, what does that mean? It's like, does that mean vegetarian? Yeah. So I get so many kids that are a little bit nervous to maybe come speak with you or even send an email or something, because they just don't know anything about it. But they'll ask me and I'll give them my, Cliff's Notes version of what you do. But every time I talk to a student, I say, you really need to experience Fernando in person. I'm not doing the description of this club justice by any means. That's why I want to have this club spotlight with you today to show off some of the amazing talent you have and some of the awesome ideas, because a lot of the students at our school are stuck in this sad lifestyle, like you said. What does SAD stand for again?
Standard American diet.
Standard American diet. That is such like a, I'm gonna call it Americana. That's like a bedrock of our country and our lifestyle. McDonald's, Pepsi, those are the two biggest food items that I could possibly think of in our country. And that's sad because this country was rich with farmland for years. We were one of the leaders in exporting so many, not exporting, I'm gonna say to different states, but we were, this country is rich in farming and the farming lifestyle, and that's a huge population. And to see a lot of the stuff that they do become overlooked by the mass media and our mass culture that we live in, it's kind of sad because it makes no room for anybody else. You got to have Pepsi, you got to have McDonald's, got to have McDouble, got to have fries, got to have a Pepsi. Don't forget your diet Pepsi too. You know what I mean? What's your thoughts on mass culture and our obsession with fast food? Will we ever survive fast food, or is fast food here forever to kill and murder?
Oh man, to kill us slowly. Well, yeah, I feel like it's killing us slowly. With the reference to Happy Meals, that's like media and the government and fast food and big corporations all working together to brainwash the whole society and start you young to attack the kids. And once they get you hooked as a kid, I went to McDonald's every Sunday. Me myself was spending quality time with my dad. After soccer games, that's great, but it's just not. Yeah, I don't approve of that at all. But yeah, is the fast food ever gonna go away? I mean, I don't think so. It's just, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I'm along with being supportive of plant-based diet. I'm also very practical. I'm down to earth, things like that. I look at the world around me and I try to fit in where I can. That's why I said when I don't really attack other people for their diet. I understand, it's just this has worked for me, and I know for a fact that it could work for a lot of people. I just want to spread the ideology around, spread the plant-based philosophy, and educate, you know.
It's literally one of the most important things you can do is educate other people. That's a huge problem that we have in this country.
Whether it comes to food, education, legality, tons of stuff. There's so many different things that folks see one tidbit of or one headline of, and that all of a sudden becomes their truth. That's it. That's it for them for the rest of their life. Like when someone says, "You can't be on a vegan diet. There's no protein." Oh, I heard it one time. I heard it just that one time. So I can't be vegan and vegetarian ever because I won't be able to get any protein. How limiting is that? How crazy is that some people will immediately close the door on something without trying and without taking that extra step to get some more information out of it, So we're ready to shut the door on things just because, Uncle Bob told us that it's bad for you, Like sometimes Uncle Bob don't know everything. So
Exactly. Yeah, that's back to the self-education thing. I mean, questioning, ever do research yourself. I feel like the reason I wouldn't like look down upon other, I mean, obviously I might. I'm plant-based. I'm plant-based. I never eat a steak. I'm living in the moment while many escape. Hold on. So what was I saying? I'm trying to say to question everything. This might work for you. It might. Everyone's idea of eating healthy is not the same. I understand that, but just questioning for sure. Popeyes is not good for you. This is a fact. so I'm gonna just throw that one out there and let you think for yourself. Self-education means making your own decisions, being self-aware, thinking for yourself, not letting other people think for you.
So let me ask you this. Plant-Based Prevengers, new club at Essex County College for fall 2021. You've been leading the meetings. I see you've been getting folks interested. I'm sure everyone is mesmerized by your shtick as I am, because you got a lot of cool stuff in your arsenal. I'm going to keep saying arsenal because you have one and it's loaded. So to the new students at Essex County College here that maybe don't have a lot of time, they got time to do one club. They don't know which club to join. They take a look at our boards. They see all these crazy different options for clubs. We have such a diverse roster of things happening at our school, and they see something like plant-based preventers. What do you want to say to students who may be watching now that are interested in the club, but they might be saying to themselves, "Well, what is Fernando going to do with these clubs? What exactly does this mean? Me signing up for this club and coming, every Wednesday from 4 to 5 in the club room in the Dasher Center. What am I going to get out of this? What can I receive in that 1 hour? What type of you're not an official teacher. You're a life expert, which is a little bit different. You know what I mean? But what can a student coming to a club? You're not a teacher. What can they expect from you? What can they expect from the club to to stand for? We know what you stand for, but give us a little more info about what the club does at its meetings.
Well, I definitely agree with that. I suppose you're right. I'm not a teacher. I guess for the species and for all species. What can be more important? That's that's my opinion. But yeah, as far as what we would do in the meetings, I would just get you thinking, spark the thought, ask the right questions. I don't have all the answers, but I have all the right questions. It's all about self-education, but when you come to the meetings, I plan on sharing that information, the documentaries we're going to watch, we're going to talk about it, the books I'm going to pull up, the discussions we're going to have. You're going to share your experiences, and once there's some officers, the possible positions of these officers will be vegetables in bulk, Incredible Hulk. His main duty, aka Hide the Zucchini, his main duty is to motivate members to eat green. So you have a support system when you join the Plant-Based Prevengers. I didn't address what that means yet, actually. Can I address the Prevengers? Means preventative healthcare. You might remember that scene in that movie where Iron Man, aka Oates in Charge, Tony Stark, is arguing with esteemed college Steve Rogers, and he said, "We're not the Prevengers, we're the Avengers." Yeah, so I just took the idea from that. Prevengers means preventative healthcare, and it's based on the idea that being plant-based is like having a superpower to me. I feel great. I feel like I am invincible. I feel my immune system's like a military base. Pumpkin flax and chia is like Hail Mary full of grace. So basically what I'm trying to say is that preventative healthcare is what they don't teach us at school sometimes, what the medicine industry definitely doesn't want us to know. They want us to drown us with pills and medicines and treatments and all that, and they don't focus on how do you not get cancer. You don't get cancer. How do you treat how do you treat diabetes? You just don't get it. You exercise and watch what you put in your body and things like that. And they want to emphasize a lot of. I don't want to get too deep into it. They want to emphasize what genetics and stuff. It's like most of these things, they place too much emphasis on genetics. Oh, I have my aunt and uncle died of cancer, so I'm probably gonna get it. So it's not really how it works. It's definitely a part of it, but not necessarily 100% of it. So yeah, that's the Prevengers. As I said, at the meetings we'll just discuss and watch the documentaries and support each other, love.
That is awesome, and I know that is a great explanation.
Because students probably are a little confused about what this is. So students, this is a support system. That's a great way to describe it. This is a support system. So if you are interested in switching to a plant-based lifestyle, this club is here to support you incrementally. It's hard to drop anything, whether it be eating, smoking, whatever the case may be. It's hard to do anything cold turkey, but you have Fernando and the Plant-Based Prevengers. It's not only a club to educate you, it's a support system in case you're ready to jump into this lifestyle, in case you're ready to make a change, in case you want to have that preventative aspect to your life and don't want to wait until the doctor tells you it's too late and you can either get an operation or not get one. There's no more room left for that preventative. That's not good. This is a great opportunity for you, for anybody who wanted to become a vegetarian and has read about it but doesn't have a partner to jump in with, doesn't have anybody to say, here's a couple tricks for you to get around this. Here's a way to trick your taste buds. Here's a way to sweeten this up without, artificial stuff. Without that stuff, it can be very overwhelming and daunting to jump into this, and it's a big roadblock and obstacle for anybody like me. I can never do it by myself. Hanging out with you and talking to you and doing stuff like this, I'm giving myself more knowledge so that maybe one day I can jump in and say, you know what? I'm not alone because Fernando taught me a bunch of stuff about this, and I don't feel so scared of it now. I don't feel so intimidated by making this big change. It sounds so crazy going from a sad standard American diet to plant-based diet, So this club is here as a support system for you. This is a great opportunity, and it's a timely one because he won't be here forever. I hope the club will, but sometimes when people move on from college, sometimes the club moves on too. So if you're around now and you're curious at all about changing your lifestyle and being preventative, and like Fernando said, battling some of the stuff that it's hard for us to battle, this is your job. This is your chance. This is your opportunity. I like a lot of the things that Fernando said about the medical industry. And again, not to get too political though, but without human beings paying attention to anything preventative, the prescription drug and the healthcare system just skyrocket and skyrocket while the human race just continues to plummet and plummet because we weren't caring about our health. We were caring about everything else first, right? And we're waiting to the last minute to get our diagnosis, our prescriptions, all that drugs, all that good stuff. Who's making the big bucks? Who's making the big bucks? The doctors, the pharmaceutical companies, right? Yeah. But say we reverse that. Say human beings are on an upswing doing preventative health care. They're going to the doctor less. They're not spending those co-pays. They're not buying all the drugs and the prescriptions or less frequency. You know what I mean? So who's coming down then at that point? Big pharma, pharmaceutical industry is going to come down. So of course they don't want human beings. They don't want the students of Essex caring about their bodies first, because then you're not going to be coming to them that much. You're not going to be going to see the doctor every day. You're not going to be going every week or whatever the case may be to get your tests and to get different prescriptions and things like that, and all that hullabaloo, all the good things that we do need to survive. If you just pay attention a little bit earlier, to keep your eyes on the road a little bit earlier in life, and don't wait until you're about to have an accident to change things, then you won't be going to the doctor so much. I speak of these things. I'm a hypocrite, but I'm learning from this man, and I'm like pumping my own self up to say, hey, I got to stop waiting till the last minute on that stuff.
I just want to comment on what you said before about having a support system. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. I know it's going to be hard to do, like it's going to be impossible for some of you. I talk to a lot of people, a lot of kids in my class. In my classes, they might be like, a diet might be brought up in psychology, which I praise the teacher for. And so, I'm Puerto Rican. It's impossible for me. We eat this and we eat beans and steak and this and that, and it's just like, when with family around, you're a product of your environment. You eat what people eat. You just adopt the culture. Of course, this is on this. I grew up on the side, things like that. And so, yeah, it's very hard to do on your own. Not to mention the taste buds thing. Not to mention like getting accustomed to not having so much salt in every meal, so much cheese in every meal. It's like, whoa. It's like, yeah, I really want it. It's very tempting. I understand, and that's what cheat days are for. But that's what a support system is for. So it's easier to do when you have, me, the other members just pushing you in that direction. We're gonna plan it out. What did you eat this week? How was your struggle? Oh, okay, so you did this to do, and the minimalism thing. For me, it was so easy for me not to eat. Well, it wasn't so easy, but certain parts of it were like so easy to trick myself into skipping that. It's just like I overeat towards the nighttime, but now it's just like I only use my tip money to buy groceries, and if I don't have any, well, I guess I'm not eating those fries tonight. I already had a potato today anyway that I cooked in the microwave. I can't even afford that wine or that apple juice because I got the water I got from work for free, and just the minimalism thing really helped, and the education thing extremely helped, because once I see like a chicken sitting on the shelf, chopped in, at the supermarket, I'm just disgusted by it. And I went on a little farming trip in July, and during the summer I stayed on the farm and I petted chickens and I fed them and watched them cluck and bite each other's butts, like feathers off their butt. They'd have this little pecking order, you know what I mean? And so I just got to watch them, and now I'm like, I don't know where this chicken's from. And then you see the pictures of the chicken industry and how they like slaughter billions at a time, and then they get so fat, they pump them up with so much steroids and antibiotics and stuff that they just topple over. You know, the legs can't hold them up. They have it's called, I have a name for it. It's like fall over syndrome or something. Yeah, the chickens, they want them to be so fat that they just topple, and they live their lives in like 1 square foot, and it's just so sad. And they're supposed to live like several years, and they only live like up to 42 weeks or something like that. Yeah, so just having that in the back of my mind helped me like get past it, you know. So, but make no mistake, having other people doing the same thing right next to you, that's like, you know, the best.
Wow.
I would say that's the best, the most.
Let's talk about cheese real quick, because you and I have not discussed cheese before, and that's bumming me out. So I want to know more about cheese. Don't scare me too much, okay? But my two favorite things are cheese and potatoes. So tell us, me, and the viewers of Essex County College and the greater Twitch world out there. Thanks for joining us today. Tell us the truth about cheese, please.
I mean, what you're saying is true. Potatoes are amazing. Cheese and potatoes are your favorite thing. I mean, a lot of times us humans focus on what we don't have in common, but I like potatoes too. And apparently you don't like cheese, but it's hard to get rid. You know why? Because it's addicting. You know, cheese is addicting. It's has this protein called casein, and when your body digests it, it turns into casomorphine, and it pretends like it acts like a drug to your brain receptors, similar to heroin. It's not as deadly as heroin. It's not as get as high, you know, off of it, but it's quite addicting, and it's, you know, that's just what it is. I don't look at it as food anymore because the research I've done, the cows, like they get pumped with like just like the chickens, you know, all types of antibiotics, and they get fed the wrong thing, you know. You know, where you see grass-fed cows, that's apparently better. That's what Conor McGregor was on, grass-fed massaged cows. It's like, all right, yeah, I guess that's better than regular beef, right? So even if you're a meat eater and you're proud of it, like, you know, just educate yourself. These cows, they get fed the wrong thing. They get fed corn, and then it blows up their stomach. You know, they have, you know, indigestion, I'm sure, and it's just not healthiest thing for them. And they live their lives in a confined space too, and they're stressed. And that stress, like milk has a lot of hormones. Cow milk, I'm talking about now. Whenever I refer to milk from the cow, you know, some people, I'll just go off on a tangent. I work at the coffee shop. Some people forget that milk comes from a cow, you know. So they think it comes from the carton, this mystical white stuff, you know, this mystical creamy white stuff that tastes so good. I'm just, oh, would you like milk from the cow? And then like, you know, they get angry. It's like I'm reminding them something that they long ago forgot. They got conditioned out of their brain. It's like, sure, milk from the cow. What is it talking? Yes, milk comes from the cow, but it's pumped full of hormones. Of course, it has hormones. You might see like a label that says hormone free. That's a lie. You know, on the milk cartons. Anyway, it's like it's ever since I've read those things, it helps me realize like this is not food to me. This is I'm a human. If anything, I'll drink human milk, you know. But it's too late for me to do that, even because I believe our body develops a lactose-free a lactose intolerance as we mature, right? So when we're babies, we're supposed to have milk from our mothers, but once we get to a certain age, our body develops this lactose intolerance for the majority of society. But you know, just doing research, in the old times in Europe, there was like a certain population of Europeans that, you know, bred cows like for a long time, like thousands of years ago, and so they had cows, and then they developed a gene that was like lactose tolerance. They were able to, it was part of their diet, and you know, from colonization and all that, European ancestry is all over the planet. So you might have like populations in the United States that can digest milk, but make no mistake, a majority of the population on the planet is lactose intolerant. So there's that fun fact.
So I totally hear you on cheese causing explosions. We know that can happen, obviously. You mentioned something about cheese turning into queso. What? Casomorphine. Okay, so that's heavy stuff, right? Because now we're talking about addictive drugs that we give to really, really sick people in the hospital, or just drugs in general. And Fernando's drawing the similarities between the chemicals emitted from the different properties of cheese and what we do to it when it goes in our body, and it has that same effect that addictive chemicals and drugs do as well in cigarettes, right? Same kind of principles going on there. So wow, so food can be just as addictive as all that horrible stuff that people die from, and people do die from food as well. It just happens in a much slower, clog your arteries type of way over time. It's not necessarily instant as other unfortunate things that people get addicted to are. But when we talk about addictions and we talk about food and getting help, most people, they don't consider food, they don't consider cheese as one of those things. But literally, I could say that I am an addict and I need help, and I'm talking about cheese. And you know what? You know where I would go for help? I would go to the Plant-Based Prevengers. I don't know where else I'm supposed to go with that. So what would you...
Stuff, right? That could help.
True.
I don't know what's in them things. I had almond cheese in my burrito the other day. And I asked the waitress, "What's almond cheese? Like, what?" And she's like, "I don't know. You don't know, say?" Like, all right, I'm never having this again. I'm never having no almond cheese. But almond milk, I indulge in. There's ways around there's ways around the dairy addiction. Definitely. But now I just do water in my oatmeal. I've got to a point where I've learned to appreciate the pure taste of whole plant-based foods. Whole foods make me happy. I taste an almond. I'm like, there's an almond. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I wanted to address about the cheese real quick. What the Health is a great documentary because it points directly at the link between the food industry and the medicine industry. And it's just like they want to feed us all this food so we can go to the doctor, and then once we go to the doctor we get prescribed these things, and then everyone's making money, right? There was a point in the What the Health, it's like the climax. It's like the narrator, he's asking these questions. Why is there a breast cancer awareness label on top of a yogurt? Dairy products have been proven to have carcinogens and be not cancer causing, like slowly over time, raising your chances of having cancer in the future, carcinogenic, and they have toxins. Well, because of that comes from the cows again. I'm big on the cows. They're gonna take over the Planet of the Cows is the next movie. You know what I mean? They're sick and fed up with this.
Wait, so cows and cheese have carcinogens built in?
I'm saying like the carcinogenic and the toxins, the carcinogens and the toxins that are in cheese that just get into the cheese and milk, and that comes from the environment that they live in, that the cows are, they don't have the most cleanest environment, of course, and they have, antibiotics and stress and all this stuff, and it's just, gets passed on to when they give milk, of course.
That is sad and depressing, and makes me not want to have milks anymore. Dang.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
Let's talk about some of the things that you partook in and enjoyed before this lifestyle. Here's what my main purpose of asking you these things is I want to know what you gave up. I want to know what you gave up. So my first question is, what was your main beverage of choice before you became plant-based?
Oh man. Well, I'll go back to a long time ago. I remember in soccer practice one time, we're sitting in the circle. This is one of the few times where the coach wasn't ripping our head off or, bullying us. I don't want to go down that path. But yeah, he was just talking to us normally. He's like, "Yo, you guys make sure you're eating right and stuff and drinking water." And I'm just like, I don't drink water. I remember I really didn't. I grew up on Gatorade, just Gatorade all the time. My mom would go to the wholesale club and get the big 32 pack of the tall Gatorades, and I would just go. I would like freeze half of it and then mix it, freeze the other half, and then like mix them both with different colors. I was like a chemist. That was my beverage of choice growing up. Kind of crazy. You brought that out of me. That I don't, but I don't drink the life-giving liquid now. The life-giving liquid, H2O, fountain of youth, whatever you want to call it. I drink water now. Yeah, that was my beverage of choice growing up. Blue cheese, that's stinky. You know what I mean? That really, I really like that. I like chicken wings with blue cheese. That was my go-to.
That's
those days
classic.
are gone. I've officially given it up. Last time I had chicken was like a few months ago. Yeah.
Wow.
So I just can't no more. Just the thought of it, but it's overly greasy and overly salty, and it doesn't make my tongue happy anymore. It doesn't make my body happy for sure. I feel like complete, garbage afterwards.
Were you ever a soda
person? Like, so I know you're not a big sugar person, and you can let me know if that was always the case or if that just happened, over the past few years or whatnot. But if you never were a soda person, do you ever find yourself wanting seltzer or just plain soda just to have that carbonation, that bubbly? Some people, I personally, I drink water and I drink ginger ale, and the main reason that I drink the ginger ale, besides loving it, is that I need to burp. I need to have that relief. You know what I mean? When I drink water, I can drink water like infinitely and just keep it going down, and there's no stopping it. But it gives me no relief whatsoever. And I know water is important, and I like water. I'm just saying it doesn't have that effect of soda. Do you ever crave that carbonation or anything like that, like what I'm talking about?
Definitely ginger ale was my go-to when I had that craving. Yeah, I kind of get it. The craving to have a carbonated beverage. Yeah, it's just pumped full of sugar and tastes, dopamine to the brain. Yeah, I gave that up, but that wasn't that hard to give up. It makes me feel terrible afterwards, of course. Yeah.
What was
the food, the number one food? That's my last question about your past. What is the number one food that you used to love that today you will never eat again, but you can still look back fondly on your childhood and you loved it? What was your favorite dish pre-plant-based life?
Well, I mentioned chicken wings and blue cheese. If we're talking like growing up, reminiscing, my mom made pan de quesos. That's like cheese bread.
cheese rolls?
Yeah, exactly. Like she made it in like a donut form, and she was the best at it. Like fresh out the oven. It's Christmas time. Yeah, us Colombians, that's what we do. Pan de quesos during Christmas time.
So one of my favorite restaurants is Noches de Colombia, and oh my god, dude, I get the pan. They have like pan de bono over there, and it's just, oh my god, and that literally is a cheesy biscuit. There's no getting around that. You know what I mean? It is a slice of heaven, though. I'll tell you.
That's a fact. Very good.
So, Plant-Based Prevengers at Essex County College. When do you guys meet?
Wednesdays 4 to 5. Right now, schedule might change depending on the members, core members' availabilities. But for now, that's what it is. Mm-hmm.
So you meet Wednesdays 4 to 5, and that's in the
club room upstairs in the Dasher Center, right? On the
second floor?
Totally.
Okay, cool. Students, Plant-Based Prevengers.
4 to 5 p.m. Wednesdays. The club room, that's in the Dasher Student Center, room 203 on our second floor. You better go see what the Plant-Based Prevengers are up to. Seriously, because if you made it through this and you watched all this awesome information and stuff that I learned, that you learned today from Fernando, I want more. And so if you want more, you know where to go. Hit Fernando up. Fernando, is there an email address that they might be able to get in touch with you at to join the club if they want to?
Definitely Wednesdays 4 to 5, but if that availability doesn't work for you, just email me and we'll talk. I'm definitely, I could meet more than once I could have multiple sessions during the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but we'll work something out. Email sosmar104@gmail.com, so I'll spell it. So SOSSMAR M as in Mary, AR104 at gmail.com.
Excellent. We want to thank our guest,
Fernando Sosa, president, or
Esteemed College Steve Rogers.
esteemed.
Be me. I'm plant-based. I'll never have diabetes. I have the cure to cancer. You don't have to believe me.
my man, the man, Plant-Based Prevengers. Check them out. Send them an email. Come to the clubs. We're so thankful and happy to have really cool clubs like this on
campus, and we look forward to following Plant-Based Prevengers' journey at Essex. He will be back. They will be back as a group, maybe solo. We're going to figure out some awesome programming and some awesome food demos we want to do with the Prevengers. We hope that you enjoyed SLAO Essex on Twitch. Pardon our little audio mishaps and things that happen. You know, we're experimenting on our new platform, and we are going to get better every single time. We want to thank Mr. Sosa for putting up with student life, for coming here, for doing this interview, for going on the internet. You on the internet forever now, baby. That's a wrap.
I'm fine with that.
So,
Plant-based philosophy prevail.
Amen. Awesome.
So we want to thank Fernando for showing up today. We want to thank all of you for tuning in. Feel free to come stop by our Twitch channel. We got a lot of stuff happening. We have a lot of programs going on, a lot of students and a lot of clubs to highlight at Essex. And as you can tell from today, we got the best clubs in the world at Essex County College. Make sure you tune in next time. Until then, we will see you later.